Oh. I better get up. Oh my God. I've slept quite well. Oh, that's better. I can see now. Well, today I am going to be checking my car over and fixing stuff for IMM. So I better get dressed. You don't want to see what I'm wearing. Right, here we go. Got to stroke a cat first thing in the morning. Haven't we, Molly? Doesn't look very happy, does she? Oh. Well, that's that. Yep, breakfast. It's a good idea. Oh, I better start the day with something healthy. So we're going to go with some toasted bagels. Oh, can't beat a toasted bagel. Now, what should we put on a toasted bagel? Oh, curry sauce. Yes. Oh, can't beat a bit of curry sauce. Start with the repairs. It's actually amazing. I've got an empty garage. Well, let's just say empty of cars. Alright, let's get this in. That's it. Lots of wheel spins. Oh, I love this little thing. Right, now on to problem number one. Problem number one with this is something to do with electricals. Indicators, they work absolutely fine. Other side. But as you can see, when I put my foot on the brake, that indicator comes on. But even when I put the other indicator on, still flashes. So the same thing is happening at the back end as well. So when I put the foot on the brake, it lights up the offside indicator, and when I indicate, it flashes the brake lights. Let me show you that. So there you go. Flashing brake lights. It's kind of American style. That's what I say. And I think the problem stems because there's two wires touching each other. Yeah, let me just turn all this off. Right. Now, I know a lot of you are probably screaming, oh, I need keys, didn't I? A lot of you are probably screaming at the screen now and going, it's a bad earth, it's a bad earth. It's definitely not a bad earth, because I've taken both of the bulbs out of there and it still does it. So that just proves it's not an earth problem. Hoping it is something to do with these wires being taped together. Yeah, something to do with up here maybe. That's what I'm thinking. So I might untape all that lot and see what I find. I'll be back in a sec once I've done it and let you know. Unfortunately, the problem isn't down there. I remade a couple of connections, but no good. So need keys again. My next port of call is inside the glove box. Let's turn the key off and take the key around the other side. Inside the glove box where I had to extend the loom. Oh shit, that's what undo it. That's it. Yeah. Oh god, smashing the door now. Yeah, so I had to extend the loom. Oh, it's tucked down behind there. I'm gonna have to get all this bit of cardboard and everything out. Back in a mo. Right, in a word, no. I've had that apart. It's been about 20 minutes now. I've been mucking around. So, no, the next stop is going to be a cheating way. I'm going to pull the wire that goes to the brake lights off of the brake lights switch, and I'm going to run one new wire all the way to the back of the car, connected to the brake lights. So, like I say, cheating way, but it'll work. Well, ain't that annoying? there we go. It's sorted, and I haven't run a wire front to rear, which I was just planning to do. I thought I'd better do a bit more diagnosis, so I've pulled the front to rear loom out and I've cut the brake light wire, and I thought if it still flashes, God, bloody aeroplanes, I thought if it still flashes when this wire's cut, then the fault is at the back of the car. And I cut it and it still flashed. Now, as you can see, these wires here are wires I extended from about, well, from there actually, to extend them to fit that rear light. And there you go, it's flashing again now. I've just found the problem. So wherever I've joined them, under this little bit here, see if I can get it to do it again. You watch, it'll catch fire now. There you go. So I squeeze that, and now it's flashing brake light. There we go. After all that, I've been probably an hour doing just that one bit. And yeah, that's all it was. So now I've got to solder that back together, tidy all this back up again. Well, at least that's one thing sorted. Right, now the next thing is I want to do the tracking on the car, because I don't know if I'll be able to show you. I don't think it's really visible, to be honest, but the tyres are starting to feather. If I rub my hand that way, it feels just a little bit lumpy, like it should be. But actually, I don't know if I can show you, like, yeah, you see these edges, they're starting to sort of feather up, where obviously the tyre is being scrubbed that way while it's being driven. So the tracking is out. So what I've done, I've been and bought some of these eBay tracking gauges, that's all I call them. They are pretty cheap, but they're kind of along the lines of the old Dunlop gauges. I say that loosely. The principle's the same. You put these little tips on the wheel rim, and then these ones have got a laser that shines across into the mirror and back onto this board here. I'll show you more once I actually get them on the car. But what I want to do is set the car up so I can drive it at pretty much the lowest it will go without rubbing the arches, and have it like that and not scrub the tyres out. So let me just get myself set up, see if we can work out how to do this, because this is the first time I'll be using these tracking gauges. They cost 235 quid off of eBay. They're the cheapest that I could find them. Like I say, you probably could buy them cheaper elsewhere, but to be quite honest, I don't really care. eBay's easy, you can pay via PayPal, and yeah, anyway, that's by the by really. But yeah, they're the cheapest I could find, and I reckon they'll do the job okay. So right, so let me get this set up and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, so I've got the car as I want to drive it. I'm going to flip the camera around, it's going to be easier for me to show you. I want it to be. So just clearing the front arches and the back as low as it will possibly go. So that is how I want the tracking set now. It is real difficult to see. I don't think I've got the steering straight at the moment, unless it is that far out. Yeah, I've got to turn it slightly. Or have I? I don't know. Right, you can see it's roughly pointing inwards, and that's massively pointing inwards. So there's their problem. Right, let's get these tracking gauges set up. Right then, so I'm about to set this up. Now what I've done, I've put this gauge against the wheel and got the correct width of the wheel. Now you always want to do it at the widest part, so about as centre as you can across there. So make that touch the rim first. Now you've got the right width, you need to set the second one up exactly the same, so the pins are touching. It doesn't matter if they're not quite aligned. And then higher, and then we just need to zero the gauge. So I don't know if you can really see the dot moving on the centre line. That's because I'm turning this disc, but we want to get that dot bang on in the centre of that centre line. Then we've got to undo that nut and make that point to the zero. So let me just get a little spanner, we'll undo that and correct it. Right, So that's now set up. You always got to keep making sure you've got the pins touching each other. And now that, hold on, looks different on the camera to what it does in real life, but that is set to 0. And the dot is in the middle of the centre line. And when I say dot, that one there. Oh, there's one more thing I did neglect to say. I'm no tracking expert, but these are the basics. First thing you've got to do is make sure your tyre pressures are correct, because that also makes a difference. So, right, let me check this and I'll bring you back once I've got the gauges on the car and we'll see how far out it is. Oh my God, guys, these tracking gauges are shit. Right, first of all, there's this bubble thing here which you've got to get level by adjusting this little wing nut thing here, which I did, but now I've just pushed them further to the closer to the wheel, because I don't know if you can see, the feet down here ain't touching the floor. So if you get them touching the floor, then this part is so far off the ground, it's, oh God. But anyway, I've had both of the bubbles there in the middle and touching the wheel. Where is it? Oh, now it ain't even bloody touching anything. Oh, but the dot was fucking somewhere up here. Oh, these are shit. Look. These feet are off the floor. Oh, can't push it straight, hold on. And that's with them off. But look. How are you supposed to set a fucking car up like that? I think these bits need spacing out from the floor. Something needs to be put under that end. So I'm going to go and making something now, I think. Right, this is attempt number 16. I've had the tracking gauges on the car to find that, like, my mirror was down here somewhere and my dot was like over here somewhere, but it was up, right up there. So something was wrong, and I figured out that tracking gauges, the instructions on them, told me to put this leg with this little adjuster wheel here on that end. But no, it's got to go there because it won't sit flat on the floor. At the moment I can push on this and it don't go anywhere, it's fine. Yet how it was before was like this one. But I have actually corrected that one as well at the moment. It's bloody complicated, but the instructions are wrong. So now I've just got to put a little weight on that end just to hold it down to the floor. Simple, only got to put a couple of sockets on it or something. It's really just touch it with the tip of your finger and it moves. So, right, now let me get this on the car. Actually, let me check it zeroed again first. Now I've been cocking around with it. Back to the tracking gauges saga. You've got that just doesn't touch the floor. So I've got to weight this bit down for it to sit like that perfectly. I know I've got this one ended further that way, but I thought if I move the bar further that way it might counterbalance it and sit it down, so I've got it as far as it will go. But no. Anyway, at least if I just put something heavy on top of there, it'll sit it down and it'll all sit on the floor nicely and hopefully it'll line up. So I'm going to bring you back once I've got it on the car. Right then, I've managed to zero them in okay by putting them together, and I've got that little bit of metal on the back to weight it down, touching on the wheel that side, on the wheel the other side. Oh, where's the red dot? Anyone spot it? There. So it's a bit out, isn't it? Right, we're now on attempt number 3. I've made a big boo-boo and I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. See this pole here? Well, when you get it in the packet, it just comes as like a bare pole. So you slide the legs onto it and you clip the mirror on and do the little knurled nut up, and that's it, it's on. I didn't actually realise that that pole is a bit special, because I had a problem with the mirror. The mirror was pointing sort of uphill, so it wasn't showing the dot on there. So if I know what to do, I'll drill a hole through there, drill a hole through the actual beam as well, and then nut and bolt it down, and the mirror can't move, because at the moment all that's really holding it in place is that little knurled nut, which is no good. So I drilled a hole, and I drilled a hole through the bar, which, as you notice, is at the opposite end, because underneath here, about in this position here, there's a screw. I thought, what's that screw for? Why is there a screw at that end of the bar and not at that end? So I popped this little cap off the end there, and there's a bloody great big metal weight in there. So that's what I needed, because where it was wobbling before, I've now turned the pole round. Guess what? It's absolutely spot on. So I've now just zeroed the gauges again. I think I've still got a little bit of an issue with the mirror. I don't think that's sitting very straight, so I might have to piss around with that a little bit to get it straight. But let's put it on the car now and see how it slides. And if you can see, you can just about see the red dot in the mirror and the dirty bit in the mirror. But look where it lines up on here. Oh, there it is, over there. How far out is that? Right, no, it's out of kilter again. So now I've got the dot back in the centre, and I reckon I've got to move that arrow back to where it was in the first place. So actually, let's just correct this as well. I've got the little bubble pointing in the wrong direction. Right, we just set them together again. So they're touching. Bubble's pretty good. Bubble's definitely good. And the dot is in the centre. And yeah, it is out. So let's see if I can do this with one hand. It is very bloody simple, really. And there you go. So that is now zeroed. Right, now let's get it on the car. Anyway, another little piece of advice which I've just been given by Adam Campion, so thank you very much, Adam. When you put these pins on the rim, put them on this inside edge and tuck them inside the outer part of the rim, and that'll give you more of an accurate reading, I believe, because this outer part may be damaged, maybe slightly out. So yeah, Adam said put them on the inside of it. There's less likely to be any damage on the inside part of the rim. So yeah, thanks Adam. That's I'm going to try that now for the first time. There you go. I'll show you how far it is actually out. Watch the gauge move and watch the dot come in. Oh, here it comes. That's right on its maximum thing. I can't turn that any further. Right, we're probably about 40 minutes on from the last little clip now. That's all set up on now. And can you see the dot? It's a bit further up this time, but it's in the middle of the scale. And I've got a slight bit of toe out, which is what you need on a front wheel drive car. Now, I ain't an expert. That probably isn't right, but it's a damn sight better than it was, isn't it? Being 3 degrees of toe in. So, right, that's how it's going to stay. Hopefully, it won't scrub the tyres out when I'm on the way to IMM. But, yeah, there we go. Tracking, done. Let's get it up on the ramp next, so I can lock off the track rod lock nuts and put some cable ties back on the end of the steering rack boots, and we'll have a good look underneath, see what's going on under there, make sure we've got nothing else amiss. Well, as far as things go, that bush there is a bit knackered. I've just picked a bit off that's hanging off, so that's not a lot good. The inner one there is starting to fall apart, and really I should have put this up on the ramp before I did the tracking. Schoolboy error, because I've got a knackered track rod end. The one on this side's got movement in it, but apart from that, tiny little oil leak, which actually looks like it's coming out of where the jiggle pin is. Bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Yeah, apart from that, a few scrapes, a few knocks. Quite a bad scrape there, really, but that is to be expected because of what the car does. So it's taken a bit of the undersill off. on the lower parts. It's obviously where I've gone over speed bumps and stuff like that with it low, so it's my own fault. But apart from that, yeah, this is probably the thing that's taken the most punishment, and it's actually pushing the floor upwards. And oh, just peeled off a bit of paint, but it's actually splitting the bodywork along there. You can see the crease there as well, and then it's bent this section up. But if I'm honest, it was kind of expectable. I wasn't expecting it to be absolutely perfect. I was expecting a bit of damage, so it's not bad, but everything else doesn't seem too bad. I reckon I've probably done, what, 500 miles in the car now. A few little things like handbrake cables touching that, so I might get the old die grinder in there, pull the handbrake cable out of the way and chop the end of that off. That'll stop that hitting. But yeah, literally apart from that, everything else seems pretty good, really. I'm quite happy. So, like I say, no major oil leaks. It's all good. Well, that kind of concludes today's check over, really. I've adjusted the tracking, I've sorted out that rear light problem, which is something I created in the first place. What else is there to do? I've got a few little niggly bits. I mean, I've got a week to do this, so I can just keep doing a little bit each day. I don't, because I'm off work, I don't really feel like working, you know what I mean? I feel like taking it easy, so that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, I've got to disappear out, go and buy some spray glue, so perfect opportunity to try out this tracking, see what it feels like on the road now. It was a little bit skittish before, but as you can imagine, with 3 degrees of toe out, toe in, I don't know, I can't remember now, but 3 degrees anyway, it was quite bad. Right then, well, thanks for tuning in, and if the weather stays like this, which is dry, tomorrow, I'll probably be back again tomorrow. See you later. Oh, look at that, dirty hands. Oh, been working. Bye.